1793 starts out like an ordinary year. We've got Rory doing repairs and upgrades to the washing line. We've got Robert tending to the garden, and spring has started, a new season for a new year, but there's something going to be a little bit different about 1793. Because unfortunately, right at the start of 1793, Robert is dying of old age. So yes, we're starting off 1793 with a death. Robert has died of old age, and for some reason Penny is really happy about it and is continuing to eat her breakfast as this very ghastly, ghostly, skeletal Grim Reaper collects her father's dead body. I'm assuming her mood is going to change at some point because she's just become very happy, which just seems really inappropriate. So Mary has come to mourn the death of her husband, and Penelope is still very happy, and Rory is feeling numb because he didn't really know Robert that well, so I can see he's got that little awkward face, fine moodlet that people get when somebody nearby them dies that they didn't know especially well. So although he had an okay relationship with Robert, he certainly wasn't close to him. So I can forgive Rory for not being too upset. But Penny's got no excuse, and she's still quite happy, still not in the least bit bothered. I think there is a sad moodlet in there somewhere, but it's massively overridden by just how happy she's feeling. Yeah, she keeps becoming very happy as well, which is making it worse. At least Mary's sad, at least Mary's in an appropriate mood for the situation. Even Rory is now crying over Robert, but Penny still doesn't have a single tear to shed for the situation, even though Rory just has that around death awkward moodlet and isn't particularly sad. He's at least pretending to be for Mary's sake. And Rory has gone back to doing his favourite thing, which is playing his fiddle, but he's not going to have as much time for that as he has had in the past in this challenge, because with Robert gone, he is now the only man in the house, and he's going to need to do quite a bit of work around the farm. And Penny, despite needing the toilet so badly that she can't walk properly, and despite Alexander desperately needing a nappy change, she's carrying him off to meet someone who's not even anywhere close to the property. And poor little Alexander is scared because there's thunder and lightning, so I'm just going to get Penny to take him back home. Okay, so she's on her way back now, and Rory's going inside as well. That's good. I don't really want anyone getting struck by lightning. I know they don't get killed the first time, but we could do without the complications. So Penny's running inside now, apparently. Oh, and she's left Alexander outside on his own in the thunder when he's scared. So we're starting to get some of that lovely Sims infant logic at play here. Rory still has the energised by lightning storms trait, so he's gone out to rescue poor wee Alexander and bring him back inside. So we're now down to just 4 Sims in the household with Robert gone, Rory being the sort of main man of the house, if you like. We've still got Mary for a little while yet to help with the domestic chores because I'm probably going to be looking to get Penny pregnant again at some point this week, or this year, 1793. And that's quite nice. Rory has an adoring sentiment for Alexander. So since Alexander is out of his room and he's going to be aging up soon, I'm going to get Rory to do some of these milestones with him, see if we can get him to practice standing and practice crawling. I'll get Rory and Alexander to interact with each other a lot more now because they've not had a lot of time to bond so far. And like I say, Alexander will be coming out of that room this week, so he might as well start bonding with the other Sims in the household, well, mainly with Rory, because he's not had much dealing with Rory. He's mostly just had Penny and Mary checking in on him. I'm not sure what Alexander's doing right now. He's just sort of shuffling himself along the floor there. He's going to the bench, but I got a notification saying achieving milestone or achieved milestone, so I'm going to let him carry through with it and see what it is that he actually does. Mary's certainly excited and Penny's come over to have a look. Okay, pull to stand milestone unlocked. Okay, so that's one more thing that he's managed to do on his own, that's good. And it's been a pretty long and busy day for Rory because he spent most of the time looking after the farm now that Robert's no longer there to help out with that. And that's the first day done already. At the very end of the last episode, at the very end of 1792, Beth gave birth to her latest baby. So we'll go across and check in on them, but first of all, I just want to change the name of the main household, because now that Robert's gone, Rory is the sort of de facto head of household, so it's no longer the Duguid household, it's now the MacDonald household, because the family name is now Rory's name, which is MacDonald. So we've got Mary giving Alexander a bath there, and in the background Rory's giving a hug to Stuart, who's just come over to visit, which is nice that they have a relationship, because I think they've only met a couple of times. Obviously they're not direct relatives, they've both married into the main family, so I'll maybe have them chat for a bit and develop a bit of a friendship. And they've just autonomously queued something up that's involved them leaving the house. They're going to stargaze together. Okay, well, fair enough. I have to keep my eye on Rory, because what I'd forgotten was, because I've taken him from the other game file, in the other game file he had completed the aspiration that's connected to being a romantic sim. So basically he's got the alluring trait, so I have to watch his behaviour around other sims, because he's sometimes getting a little bit flirty, and I don't want him to start getting flirty with Stuart, because that would cause a lot of complications. He'd be upsetting 2 households and 2 families if he starts that. Okay, that's Alexander's bath finished. And I'm getting my favourite glitch. I don't know if anyone else ever gets this, where not only does the infant disappear, but the arms of the sim holding the infant also disappear. Oh, there we go, it's come back now. Everything's come back now. It seems to come back if you change the camera angle a little bit, but it's really random, and that's been happening to me quite a lot. The glitch that used to happen that I haven't had in a while is the one where you pick up the infant and then you put the infant down and go to walk away, and the sim walks away with their arms at their side like normal, but the infant's still attached to them, which was a dangerous glitch, because when that happened, the infant wasn't on the ground and the infant wasn't in the sim's arms, and the infant could end up starving to death because it was impossible to access them to feed them. At least this one's less dangerous, it just looks funny when the sim does a Venus de Milo impersonation. Rory got struck by lightning, and I can't get him to clean himself up or stop doing what he's doing long enough to clean himself up, and I really want him and Penny to try for a baby today, and I'm aware that the day's ticking away from me and I need to go across to the other household as well at some point, so I'm just gonna have to get him to woohoo whilst he's all scorched and burnt by lightning, which is not very romantic, but unfortunately that's just how it is. Let's try for a baby. Okay, and again, once they're done, I'm going to get Penny to take a pregnancy test, just so that I can make sure she is actually pregnant this time. Again, I'm quietly hoping to myself that this isn't twins, or worse still, triplets. I might actually be okay with twins, but I really don't want triplets. So fingers crossed that she is pregnant and that it's just one baby. Okay, perfect. Penny is pregnant. So now, today, the same day, I need to go across to the other household. I'll just let her share the big news with Rory, because that's quite a sweet moment. Hopefully Rory will finally clean himself up. And then I need to go across to the other household today on the same day, because today it's time to age Maggie up to an infant. It's never a good feeling spawning into a lot and finding Jim Pickens there. I know it's not actually Jim Pickens, it's Tai Lum, but he does look like Jim Pickens. And I don't know if that was a deliberate thing by EA or not, but it does always amuse me. So now that we're across at the other household, I'm going to age up the baby. And I did actually just say there, I called her Maggie. I'm going to rename her Margaret. She was named Miranda automatically by the game. I'm going to rename her Margaret, which is a more in-theme name. And obviously Maggie's short for Margaret, so in my head I've already started calling her Maggie. So we'll get her aged up to an infant, and then I'm very quickly going to leave, because that's a child, a toddler, and 3 infants in this household. So I will be letting the game just autonomously look after them until it's time to age some more Sims up. So we'll see how she looks. Miranda, well, obviously I'm going to rename her to Margaret when she ages up, and I'll go into Cass and I'll give her a redesign to give her better clothing, because already there the clothing she's wearing is too modern. So just while I'm in Cass, I'm also going to add some details to Stuart's face. He's supposed to be an older sim, he's supposed to be an adult sim getting close to being an elder sim, so I'm just going to give him a few more signs of age on his face to make him more appropriate. And I've just noticed that he is actually the one who has the hazel eyes. I thought it was Elizabeth. Elizabeth actually has dark brown eyes, which is the colour of eyes that Robert had. The hazel eyes, I think, it comes from Mary, and I think Penny's got that colour of eyes. But Elizabeth has the dark brown eyes, and I think Bruce has the dark brown eyes, but I think the rest of the children have the hazel eyes from Stuart. So I'm just going to have a quick look and see who got whose genetics in terms of the eye and the hair colour. So most of the kids, it looks like, if not all of them, have got the blonde hair, which has come from Stuart. Bruce has got the brown eyes. Hamish has got the hazel eyes. Alfred's got the hazel eyes. And I think Charles has probably got the hazel eyes as well. And then we'll see. Oh, it looks like Miranda's maybe got, well, Margaret has maybe got dark hair, actually. So she would be the only child in the family then who got Elizabeth's hair colour. So there we go, Margaret MacLeod. And I'll just take her hat off so we can get a better look at her face. Okay, so she's got the hazel eyes as well from Stuart, but she's got the darker hair from Elizabeth. So she's the only one who got Elizabeth's hair colour, and I think Bruce is the only one who got Elizabeth's eye colour. So Stuart's genes have been pretty strong in this family. But there we have Margaret there, so I'll dress her the same as the other infants have been dressed, but I think I'm going to give her slightly more girly colours. I'll give her the pink instead of just the grey or the black, since she is the only girl in this family. And again, I've had an infant age up, wearing sunglasses for just about every single outfit. I don't mind the game randomising things, but some of the accessories, I wish they just didn't add any accessories or makeup, because some of the makeup and accessories that the game automatically adds, it's really difficult or really annoying having to take it all off and check every single outfit for consistency. There we go now, that's Margaret done. Now I'm just leaving her with the hairstyle that she aged up with, because that's okay for now. When she's a toddler, I'll maybe make more of an effort to give her a slightly different hairstyle. I'll see what hairstyles are available then. So yeah, going back to Elizabeth here, you see she's got the dark brown eyes and the brown hair. So the brown hair from Elizabeth has gone to Margaret, but the sons have all got the blonde hair from their father. And Margaret got the eyes, the hazel eyes from Stuart. And of the boys, I think only Bruce got the dark brown eyes from Elizabeth. Yeah, you see there, Bruce has Elizabeth's dark brown eyes. And then Alfred has the hazel eyes, so he's got the hair and the eye colour from his dad. And it's the same with the twins. Hamish and Charles both have the hair and eye colour from Stuart. And then again, Miranda has her mum's hair colour and her dad's eye colour. So that's that family there for just now. We will be visiting them again when it's time to age someone else up, which will come around sooner rather than later. After visiting the other household and seeing all the children and worried about the prospect that Penny could have triplets and I could have my hands full, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. And I'm going to get the bench from the Crystal Creations stuff pack. And I'm going to get some Plumbite. I think one of the Sims has found Plumbite from the rocks or from the lightning storm. I've got a piece on me anyway. And I'm going to polish it into a gemstone and I'm going to put it into the room where the infant/newborn will be sleeping. So the only one who's really going to get a huge benefit from it, I actually don't think the Plumbite affects a newborn, but the infant that lives in that room or the infants that are living in that room will get the benefit from it. And I won't constantly be having to check up on them and make sure they're not starving to death to get taken away from me. The Sims not in that room won't be quite so affected by it. They might get some influence from it when they're close to it, but they won't be totally affected by it. So I will still be managing them a little bit. I'm just going to do this just to get me through this stage of childcare, because it is difficult, and it will be especially difficult when Mary's gone. So I'm just adding that in just to make my life a little bit easier. So Mary is going through some things as part of her grief, and she's the only one who's feeling grief since Robert died. Penny's still never gotten sad or had any negative reaction, and Rory has been fine. He initially had that fine around the death of somebody I didn't know very well moodlet, but otherwise he's not really been affected. Alexander had a sad moodlet when Robert first died, but he's gotten over it. But Mary continues to be affected with grief. I won't be taking her to grief counselling, and hopefully she will shake it off before too long. Since Mary is bored and she is a creative sim, I'm going to have her make the gemstone for me from the Plumbite. And she's not obviously got any crystal crafting skill, so she will just be making the most basic gemstone she can make. It doesn't need to be of great quality, it doesn't need to be fantastic. Just cut into a gemstone so that I can put it into the room and it can help a little bit with the needs of the infants. And I'm going with this style because it makes a smaller, less obtrusive stone. It'll just be a small flat circle, so it won't get in the way too much of any of the furniture and it won't look too out of place. Both of the women are needing sleep, so while they're sleeping, I'm just going to get Rory to play dolls with Alexander to keep him amused. I did eventually get the gemstone cut. It took Mary a long time to do it because she kept cancelling it off because she's bored and not feeling it because she's still got that moodlet from her grief state. So getting her to do anything productive is probably going to be quite difficult. She is at least still helping out, caring for Alexander, but she doesn't really do much of anything else, including the cooking and the cleaning. So it's kind of almost like the household is already down to just Penny and Rory as the adults. But in the meantime, this is quite a nice little quiet father-son bonding moment because obviously there's another baby coming along soon, and in my experience, the first child never likes it when a second child is born, so I'm guessing Alexander won't be too happy when the next baby comes along, if for no other reason than he has to share his parents' attention with another child. So you can see there the crystal charging grid and the little cut gemstone that we've got. It's quite small and unobtrusive there, and keeping it there is helping keep Alexander quite happy. So that will definitely help when we have the next child or children, because I am just paranoid that Penny is going to give me triplets. Penny herself was actually a triplet. The other save file that I took her from, Mary and Robert were her parents, and they had one son, and it went well, so I had them get pregnant again while the son was still an infant, and Mary gave birth to triplets. And the triplets were Elizabeth, Penelope, and another boy. And I ended up giving up on that game file because I just couldn't cope with it. It was too much. So I'm paranoid. I don't think that multiple births run in the family in The Sims like they do in real life, but I'm just so paranoid. And my paranoia is not helped by the fact that Penny gets absolutely huge when she's pregnant. And she was big when she was pregnant with Alexander, and he was just one baby, and the size of the pregnancy doesn't determine the number of children, but it still doesn't help seeing her look like she's carrying 3 babies. So as well as building her cooking skill there, Penelope has just made a birthday cake, because today is Alexander's birthday. And Alexander is going to age up to a toddler and just ignore Rory playing with the football there. I gave him the football because he has an active trait and it's something just to keep him from getting that cooped up moodlet that active Sims get when they're not active often enough. I didn't want to send him jogging because when you send them jogging they can sometimes be gone a long time, so at least if he's got the football he's still on the lot. So we're now going to age up Alexander to a toddler and we'll see how he looks. And here we go, he's away to blow out his candles with the help of Grandma Mary. Okay, so I am going to make him independent, which is a little bit of a cheat, I know, and I will be making all of the infants calm and all of the toddlers independent in the main household to make my life as easy as possible. After that, the traits that I choose for them when they are children and up, I will base it on how their personalities seem to develop. I find that as I play with them as toddlers, they start to sort of take on their own story, and I like to develop their personalities around that and possibly include some of the traits that their parents have. Like, for example, Rory is self-assured. I think he's self-assured in this. He was self-assured in my other game file. He loves the outdoors and that sort of thing, so maybe it'll be one of those traits that I'll give to him. He'll maybe have one of Rory's traits and one of Penny's traits, and then when he's an adult he'll have another trait. I'll just see how his personality develops. And I've put out the toddler bed that I'd bought before there. And going into build and buy mode, Rory is in this epic pose, mid-air, kicking his football. And I'm now going to go and try and find a potty because I completely forgot that I need a potty for a toddler. And because I have all the expansion packs, I know I've got quite a good selection. So this is the one I was thinking of. It's quite a traditional looking one. It's literally just a literal pot. And it's perfect for being a sort of old-fashioned thing to have. So I'm just going to put this beside his bed so that when he gets up he can just go straight to the toilet. I want him potty trained as quickly as possible, and that's another reason I will be making the toddlers independent, because when they're independent they can take themselves to the potty at level 1. Normally with a toddler an adult has to take them until they're at level 2, but when they're independent they go straight away by themselves. And I want him up to level 3 because once they're up to level 3 they start autonomously lining up to go to the potty when they need the toilet. And the more that they use the potty, the less dirty they get, there's no nappies to change, and their hygiene need doesn't drop, so they don't need to have baths as often. And the thing about, obviously, when a toddler needs a bath is that an adult has to go and bathe them, so it uses up their time as well. So again, in the interest of keeping him as independent as possible, I'm going to keep him clean, keep him using his own toilet. Penelope is due to give birth tomorrow, so we will have a new baby on the way then, and before the year is out, before the end of 1793, Alexander will have a little brother or sister, and hopefully not 2 or 3 little brothers and sisters. I'm just checking on Alexander here, and he's still asleep and his needs are full. And I'm going to go back to Penny and Rory. They autonomously queued up to sit and skywatch or cloud gaze or whatever it is that they're doing here. And I know that a lot of people have criticised the Love Struck Pack and say that this is annoying, but when you're actively playing with a couple and they queue it up, it is quite cute. And again, it's a good sign that their relationship is healthy, which is good because there's another baby about to be born, and I do want them to have more kids after this one, even if it is triplets. I'm not letting that go. Unfortunately, the scene's a little bit ruined because Penny, as you can see there, has a sickness, the one where she gets the stripes on her face, but I'm not giving her medicine, partly because that's in keeping with the time period that she wouldn't have had access to medicine, and also because the medicine costs money, and yeah, it makes them feel better, but if you don't give them the medicine, it doesn't make any difference. They still feel better after a couple of days anyway, but I could just get her to drink some orange juice and she can cure herself that way. So the beauty of toddlers, especially independent toddlers, Alexander's just woken up and I've sent him to the toilet. He's taking care of himself on the toilet, and then I can just send him to go and grab a serving of food and he'll feed himself as well. And he can play with the dolls, because I added a doll's house into the living room there. When I got the Crystal Crafter bench, I moved out. It was the flower arranging bench and the woodworking bench that were in that corner. I've taken them out, and I've put in the doll's house that is based on the Goth family household, because it was the most sort of traditional looking one that I could find, and I thought that's a good way to just keep the kids amused. It also helps with imagination for toddlers and creativity for children if they play with the dolls. So it's just a handy thing to have, and also when they get angry they smash it and then someone else can repair it, and that helps build their handiness skill. I think I might have made a little mistake here. Alexander just finished eating his meal and I asked him to ask Rory to play. And sometimes when you do this with toddlers, if you play with them immediately after they've eaten, they throw up, or they feel sick at least. I just did it because I thought it's a good way to get his movement up, and it's a good way for them to bond together a little bit, and hopefully it doesn't make him sick. Now he looks fine. He's autonomously queuing up to go and hug his mother, so he's obviously fine, no negative moodlets either, so that's good. And here we are in Cass. I will give Alexander a makeover to get him into appropriate clothing for the time period. And seeing him like this, he has automatically got the same hairstyle as Rory. I didn't give him that, but he's got that. And he looks a lot like Rory did as a toddler. Like I say, Rory was from another save file, and he's a sim that was a child of sims that I created. And I've obviously known him through all the stages of his life, and this is pretty much what he looked like as a toddler. I gave him a different hairstyle, but I'm going to leave that hairstyle on Alexander. Quite like it. It'll be interesting to see as he grows up if he continues to look just like Rory or if he inherits any of his mother's genetics. And now I'm just going to skip on. I'll leave out me trawling through all these outfits and I'll just show you what his final looks are. Okay, so this is his winter wear, the final outfit that I did. I'll just scan back through the others. That's his warm weather wear, which maybe isn't quite perfect. It's his swimwear, which is just the same trunks, but he's not really going to be going swimming, so that's not really going to matter. That's his party wear, which I think is the same as his formal wear. That's his sleepwear, which is like the toddler version of what Rory wears to bed. Again, that's his formal wear. And his everyday wear is this. A lot of it is the Journey to Batuu stuff. Found it's quite good for doing sort of like peasant clothing. Mary is just unbearably tense about so many different things, and the difficult one is she's tense because she has the romantic trait, and she's tense because she hasn't been romantic with anyone. Like, she's got a moodlet that says she's still grieving her dead husband, but then she's also got a moodlet that says she wants to be involved with someone else romantically. So I'm not really sure what to do about that. It's hard getting her to do anything right now. It was hard because she was bored from her grief, and anytime she's not bored, she's tense because she's lovelorn. So Mary's proven to be quite hard work right now. Hopefully when the new baby comes along, that'll take her mind off of things. And as it is Friday and the end of the week, I'm getting the notification that tomorrow is the celebration for the end of the week, which is Easter, because this year was spring. So I'll put the decorations up now because that is one of the activities for the day. So if I put them up now, that's it ready to go for tomorrow. Alexander has just woken himself up again. He seems to wake himself up quite frequently. So I'm just going to check what traits he has. Okay, so he hates bedtime, he's an early riser, and he loves waking up. So at least he loves when he does actually wake up, but that does mean that he's gonna have a couple of difficulties sleeping. But otherwise, because he's independent, he's been able to look after himself and he's been pretty easy to take care of, so I'm not too worried about that. Alexander's also autonomously lined up to play with the doll's house after he went to the toilet, and that's him reached level 2 of his imagination skill, without me really having to do anything with him, so that's quite good. I'm not looking to max any of his skills. Oh, and Penny has gone into labour, so let's see what we get. So I'm crossing my fingers for just one baby, and we'll see what happens. If it's triplets, we won't be having another baby anytime soon. Even if it's twins, we won't be having another baby anytime soon. And we've got a baby girl. So we've got our first daughter into the main household. Alexander's getting a little sister. So again, I'm going to give her a name beginning with A. I've got a couple of lists of boys and girls' names, and the top name I've got is Anne. So this will be Anne MacDonald, and hopefully Anne is not part of a set of multiple children. Let's see how this goes. She's still heaving away like she's still in labour. Nope, that's it. It's one baby. Thank goodness for that. I was so sure that Penny was going to have actually triplets, especially after Elizabeth had twins. That's fantastic. It's great to have a girl that's just got a son and a daughter in the main household, and that's very exciting, and that means we can have another baby again fairly soon after Anne's up a little bit. And here comes Alexander, and I'm surprised he's happy to meet new sibling. Oh, there we go, he's sad. Kids are always sad. Yeah, new sibling. They're always sad when they get a younger child. I think that was an add-on with Parenthood or with Growing Together. I'm pretty sure that wasn't a thing in base game, that they just were always, the first child was always automatically sad. I think sometimes even subsequent children are, but certainly the first child is always sad in my experience of the game. They always say it's a sibling they didn't want. I'm going to have Penny do some extra interactions again with the newborn baby to try and get her parenting skill up. Obviously once she's maxed it, she can do the super efficient newborn and super efficient infant care, which will make things easier for subsequent children. So it would be a bonus if she could get her skill up high enough before she has the next baby, but I don't know if we'll get there with her, but I'm going to try to just push her up a little bit anyway. So Penny wandered off there to go and speak to Bruce, who was at the door, but he's walked away, and I was just bringing Alexander over so that they could have a chat and try and build a bit of a relationship, since they are cousins. So I'll see if I can get Bruce to come back. Can Penny just get him to come back? He's too far away to call him over. I'll ask him to hang out. Okay, so if she goes and asks him to hang out, he can then have a chat. Or he can just keep walking away. I think he's just going to keep walking away. Oh, that's a shame. I wanted him to come in. I wanted to get a bit of a relationship with the next generation of the two households between each other. Certainly once Alexander's up to a child, it's easier to get him to travel on his own, because obviously when he's a toddler, an adult will have to travel with him. But once he's a child, I can have him visit the other household and he can get to know his 5 cousins in the other household a little better. Penny's just not obeying me to go after Bruce, and I think he's quite far gone anyway. I can't really see him on the map anymore. Yeah, there he is. He's just about to cross the bridge and leave completely. Tried asking her one more time, but she's still not actioning the action, and that's him crossing the bridge. and just leaving completely. So we'll just maybe wait. He'll maybe visit again, and if not, once Alexander's up to a child, like I say, I'll get him to go across to the other household. So it's Easter, it's the last day of the week, and I was having everyone just do the tasks for the day, which are egg hunt, baking, cleaning, and put up the decorations, which are up already. But my game is also having that little glitch that I sometimes get, where one of the characters just gets completely blacked out, and it's only happening to Mary, and I think this comes from the Werewolves pack, because I've seen it happen with werewolves. Yeah, you can see there in the bottom corner, Mary's little face has just gone completely black. And depending on what camera angle I look at her, she might look okay, and then other times she's just completely blacked out. Like her body, her clothes are okay, but any part of her body apart from her hair is just completely blacked over. And it's not from using mods, because obviously I'm on console, I don't use mods, but it is an issue that I have had on and off since I installed Werewolves. Quite often happens with an actual werewolf form of a sim, but sometimes it will happen with a sim themselves. And it's been a little while since I've had it. I thought they'd maybe patched it out, but apparently not, because here it is happening again. And the Mary situation is getting worse, because now in the bottom left and actually in the game she's being changed, but sometimes just changing the angle of the camera or going to another sim and then going back to her, it can reset, but it keeps going back and forth between the two. Yeah, I'm not sure what's causing that. She's worn that outfit before, and I haven't changed anything in CAS about her, but for some reason this is just how she looks at the moment. And again, if I change the camera angle, it'll probably go away, but then it'll come back again when I change the camera angle again. If I zoomed right out to there, she looks okay. She's still okay there. And then that's her changed back. So if I was zoomed really far away, yeah, she's okay again there. And then just when I go too close, she turns back to the glitched form. And you can see there, Mary's still glitched out even in that little photo of her face that appeared there. So I think I've done enough now for everyone to have a happy holiday. Alexander only needed to look for Easter eggs, he didn't need to do anything else. The rest of them did a little bit of cleaning, or did a bit of baking, and they hunted for Easter eggs. I see Alexander has autonomously queued up to go outside and go into the pond, because all the Sims seem to love doing that. So I'll just let him do it. It'll get his walking movement skill up, and it's something for him to play about in. And it's quite late now on Saturday night, which effectively makes it the end of 1793. So as Alexander goes in here and no doubt makes himself dirty when he's not long had a bath, and he's probably going to need another bath now, I'll end 1793 here. I'll just give a quick recap. We started out 1793, sadly, with the death of Robert. Maggie, in the second household, the youngest child, aged up to an infant. And in our main household, Alexander aged up to a toddler, Alexander on the screen just now. Penny got pregnant and she gave birth to the second child in the main household, who was a daughter called Anne. And that's us for 1793. So join me again next week as we move into 1794 and see what changes that brings along with it. Thanks for watching.